Right, you guys ready?
ComX presents.
Alex, not yet. Lauren, what are you doing?
Making everything look sexy and chilling.
By the way, I don't want to eat anyone's thumbnails.
Thanks, Nick May, for that's super helpful. Can we just get the show going?
ComX net, is it ComX net AU?
Are you ready for drinking? Drawing? What about laughing? Well, hold on to your crumpets. It's season 2 of the ComX Friday Night Drink and Draw, with your hosts Sizzle and Spedsy, and the man they call Quick, plus Australia's most attractive artists and creators, many of whom have books for sale at comx.shop. Alright Dave, you can start drawing.
Yeah, if you can make sense of it, good luck. Welcome to ComX Studios Friday Night Drink and Draw. This week we are doing The Phantom as our theme, and our special guest is Paul Mason. Woo!
And here to draw said Phantom, of course, is the man who, without this show, would not exist. It's Sizzle. Everybody, what up? And then there's me, the host with the least, Spedsy. And then next to me, of course, is the man who is a blur because he's so goddamn quick. It's Quick McCleary. Hello, sir.
Hello, I'm in a hurry tonight. I'm extra quick. That's my new nickname, Extra Quick. All right.
Nice.
A little extra quick.
Capital X.
Alex Major just got off an 8-hour shift of pumping steroids into a small feline, but he's here to join us on the show. Hello, sir.
Hello. My cat's passed out now.
I'm not surprised.
Yes.
In a good way. It's like he's not dead. He's just sleeping.
And a man, of course, who's no stranger to steroid-filled cats. It's Nick May.
Yeah, steroid-filled cats. They're my thing.
Yeah, everybody knows it. Dushan is back. Hello, sir. Welcome back to the show.
Good to be back.
Hey, Jen.
Good, mate.
And the man who was the young boy that the sheriff left in the middle of a Wild West town. It's the son of the lawman, Peter Lawson.
You're an idiot.
Man,
And
a
of
few
course-
words.
The man who was found passed out on Gary Della's couch just 1 week from today.
G'day, everyone.
And the man who I have heard about but not spoken to, said to be one of the nicest men in Australian comics. It's Paul Mason.
Oh, hey.
There he is.
A man who could kick your ass with a smile on his face.
What?
Yeah, it's true. He's like a we'll talk about it, but he could kick your butt.
Okay.
Now
Oh,
you
here
can
we
introduce
go.
Stephen as well.
Yes,
And Stephen McLeod, welcome back, Stephen.
He's waiting. He's here.
Troubleshooting on iPad, trying to get in. I'm giving up being tech savvy. I did a last-ditch effort of pasting it into the browser that I typed out. Oh, God, it's horrendous. I hate getting old, and technology is just getting further and further away from me.
You did well, though. You did well.
Yeah, you're here now, and we're stoked to have you.
Oh, thank you.
Now, from one purple shirt to another, Sizzle, refresh us, who we drawing, and tell us a little something about him from your perspective.
From my perspective, oh no. Well, we're drawing the Phantom. What I know about him, I know that something happened with pirates, and he got on a deserted island, and he decided to stop pirates and other naughty people, and became the Phantom. And then his offspring became the Phantom, and their offspring became the Phantom, and their offspring became the Phantom, and so forth. I don't know what they're up to now, but I know there's quite a few. That's about all I know about the Phantom, and that he has a nice purple costume.
Right. Now, much to the chagrin of true Phantom fans, my first experience with the Phantom was a cartoon that I can't remember the name of, but Mandrake the Magician was in it.
Defenders of the Earth, right?
Defenders of the Earth.
Right. Now, the Phantom, did he have the power of 10 tigers in that?
That's
cartoon?
right, yeah.
Yeah, but
And
the
he
animation was cheap, so it only ever
Panthers.
gets out 6 or 7 of us. So,
Right. Now,
they were
Paul, does he not have the power of 10 tigers in comics?
not
think so.
in not in the comics. No, the Phantom in Defenders, from my memory, was the 27th incarnation. In the comics, mainly they focus on the 21st as the current Phantom. So they took some liberties with the future Phantom.
Right.
Yeah, so he can't have guns in the show. So I guess they gave him something extra. I don't know. Anyway,
Yeah, right.
I saw a message on the screen from Trev Wood. I just wanted to say hi, Trev, and thank you.
Oh, yeah, it was about Flock.
Yeah, a book that we will talk about at length, I'm sure, later in the show. What about you, Quick? What's your Phantom story? What do you know of him? Where did you learn?
I think my Phantom story is like the same with everyone's. He's like the cheap comic book selection that you could probably get. It's kind of your entry into comics because your parents are like, I'm not paying $6 for a comic. I'll pay $1.90 though. To get the Phantom. And he's sort of, I think, yeah, like the introduction for a lot of Australian artists or readers. And I think, is he the first like superhero? Is he the first guy in to cover his body suit? Is that right?
Yeah, he was before Superman.
He's like the bridge between your pulp magazine
Yeah.
heroes and your costumed long underwear characters.
So he deserves more credit than he gets for introducing the tight suit, I reckon.
Yeah. I mean, well, if you don't count the circus strongmen of the day, yeah, that's pretty much the idea. The whites of the eyes and all that sort of.
Yeah. I always see the Phantom suit and go, it's kind of like a Jaguar skin thing. That's why it's acceptable for me. It's how he gets away with it, and few do. So.
Yeah, there's a certain amount of logic you have to, overcome. Suspension of disbelief. Otherwise, he'd die of heat stroke very quickly in a tropical.
Right. He's always in the right sun as well. He's always kicking about in the jungle. So
he'd be very, very exhausted, I would imagine. Catching up with poachers and massive, long.
That's right.
Sweaty, But yeah, considered that kind of vigilante costumed hero bridging gap, according to the Guinness Book of Records, anyway. So
yeah, right.
That to any sort of account, then yeah, sure. So,
Yeah, right.
But it all depends.
Now, obviously, Paul can answer this question with his tongue behind his back, but Alex Major, I'm going to throw it to you.
Yeah, go
what
for it.
makes the Phantom so special? What does he have abilities? What? Tell us about the Phantom.
Doesn't he have like a ring? Doesn't he have a ring that has a skull on it?
Skull ring.
Nobody help him. And what does the ring do?
Sorry?
He uses his imagination and it like creates green things. What does the
Brings
ring
him good
do?
luck. Brings him good luck. That's like he has a he does these like little lottery stuff, and then he scratches it with a coin, doesn't get anything, and then if he just uses his ring, match 3, wins $10,000. That's my understanding how it works about the Phantom. But if I'm wrong, correct me. Like, let's all be friendly here.
Forced upon the psyche of Australian children via the world's earliest propaganda machine, the showbag.
Showbag.
Yeah. Now this says more about me than about the Phantom. But yes, I got the Phantom. My first Phantom comic was in a showbag, and it was larger than American comics. And it was black and white, and it was newspaper print, and I deemed it inferior, and I did not keep it with my comics.
Wow.
And now I don't know where it is. It still exists because I've never thrown anything out, not even once. But I just don't know where.
But seriously, I don't know much about the Phantom. Just that he's like a dude in pink running around in the jungle.
Pink.
Right. Well,
That's what I was around.
Pink.
that's not,
Sorry, purple. Sorry,
purple.
purple. Just like my cat character.
I'm sure he was pink in one country. There's
in Hungary he was. In Hungary where I grew up, he was pink. But
Oh, right.
okay.
Yeah.
because our comics are just left in the sun for like about 3 weeks before they're selling them.
Yeah,
So
Hungary
a lot of off color.
I could probably
notoriously Hungary had low magenta toner cartridges.
Rob knows the pain.
Not to get stereotypical about Hungary's photocopiers, but that's the way it was. What about you, Mr. May? What do you got in the Phantom? Are there hard covers behind you collecting 100 years of it?
Yeah, I just pulled a Phantom muscle. Yeah, I'll get them a little bit later. So it's my understanding that the Phantom has 2 rings. One is the good mark, which he gives to people who are in the Phantom's favor. And he has the skull ring because famously Phantom is rough on roughnecks. So if he punches you in the head, he leaves an indelible skull tattoo on your chin. So everybody will always know that you were bad and there's no chance for redemption. So I think, he's like, maybe he's the proto Judge Dredd. I don't know. But probably for me, two really important things. The first one was finding out at some time, I don't know when, that the Phantom wasn't Australian. I'm pretty sure for a really long time, I thought that the Phantom was an Australian thing.
Same.
But somebody will be able to help me out here. But Australia's greatest ever comedian, Ostentatious, did a song called Ghost Who Walks or something, and it was a big Ostentatious was dressed as the Phantom, walking around singing about the ghost who walks. He's the man who will never die. So maybe everybody do yourself a favor and look up Ostentatious, and then you'll learn everything you maybe didn't want to know about the Phantom.
Sorry, Nick, I have a quick question. Like, cause I don't know if anybody else went through that phase where, because like first I saw like in mainstream media like Billy Zane and in video games the Phantom, and then when I got into comics after that, I found out that it's like a lot of Aussies are working with it. So I thought it was like American first, then I thought it was Australian, and then later on I thought it was like then I later on learned that it was an American thing first that became Australia. That like a lot of people in Australia ended up being involved with. Is that anybody else had that similar story with it, like Rob or Nick? Or everybody kind of knew it was either American or Australian? It didn't go like flip-flopping.
I've got no idea what you're talking about, mate.
I thought it was Australian for a while. I thought it was American, and I thought it was Australian again. So, you know, who cares? Like, I hope my nonsense is entertaining more people than it's from. Because, you know, like, just... yes, I'm just going to stop mumbling and go back.
You'll keep it clean, mate.
Think of my random words, what you will. You know, just go with it.
I agree with you, Alex.
No, don't need to agree. No.
I don't know what you
No worries. Okay, cool. I'm just going to go back to doing my animations and drinking my water, and I'll shutting up.
So Nick, the good ring. So
the good mark.
Yeah, so would he still smack people in the face?
I think when he was inviting people to state functions, he would dip his good ring in hot wax. Now, I don't know. My understanding of the good ring, and maybe Paul or somebody else can tell me, but it was like somebody fashioned a swastika on his ring and then curved the ends around to make it sort of less Nazi, and that made it good. I'm not sure, but I don't think he punched anyone with the good ring.
Oh, okay. I always wondered about that.
The thoughts and opinions of Nick May are not necessarily those of ComX. There is no good swastikas.
You can flip them around. It's a Buddhist symbol of peace or something.
No, not a bloody swastika. Get out. Just forget that word.
No, but that shape, like I remember when I was in Korea, they had them all over the streets.
You'll get there. Keep going. You'll make.
Trying to help you out there, Nick.
Symbol on pieces of paper. Come on, guys. This is basic.
Yeah.
Thanks, Peter.
You're welcome to come on and school us, mate. Oh, gee.
Oh
Yes.
my goodness. Bloody
Kicked off.
sacrilege.
There's a mark on my screen.
We've got a few theories.
He used to leave the good mark on the inside of the wrist on people. He'd press his ring on them. All right. Is there a
Come
different
on.
word we can use for ring? Because I am childish. Every time it's used in these weird, he presses his ring on people, I can't help but laugh.
Yeah,
Yeah, we're getting a few comments like that, actually.
Yeah. Dushan, what's your Phantom experience?
Yeah, I first saw him in Defenders of the Earth cartoon. First introduction was that, and then I had one comic. It's I think UK published Phantom comics, so from that I had one comic, and then I really liked his suit, like the design, sort of, kind of
Yeah.
like Batman to me.
Yeah, right.
And then I saw the movie with Billy Zane. I actually like that movie, but most people don't like it, like for some reason. But
Yeah,
I thought it was
alright.
pretty good.
Yeah, it's a really good looking 90s film. Like it's shot
Yeah,
on
that and the Shadow.
Oh, the show.
Shadow, yeah.
Oh,
Slam
yeah.
He just got
Yeah,
it.
right.
makes a great Phantom too. It's got that
Was that
round.
in Australia? Was that shot in Australia, Nick?
Yeah.
Phantom was.
Phantom, Billy Zane?
Yeah, that
The
was up
Phantom
in
movie was,
Port
yeah.
Douglas, up in Cairns area, from what
Yeah, I think
I
so.
heard.
Oh, right.
It was shot in
Yeah.
Australia. Yeah.
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 Oh, Brisbane City Hall model was doubled for a museum in the film as well.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, I haven't been collecting any comics from him, but yeah, just Batman comics for me.
Yeah. So Phantom came before the Black Panther, right?
Yeah.
So did Black Panther borrow from the Phantom at all?
Could be possible. Jack Kirby, a lot of, was from that era of cartoonists that aspired to be newspaper strip artists. And, if you were of that era, you either looked up to Milt Smith, Alex Raymond, or Hal Foster as an influence. So he would be aware of syndicated strips like that. And, the Phantom was syndicated in America, or it still is. Just not many newspapers anymore, but he would have a passing awareness. Lee Falk was a guest at a few cons and that sort of stuff back in the day. So, even though that's all pre, Black Panther was 1966, that sort of era, sort of early Comic Cons were a few years after that. It's not out of the realm of possibility. You had Kaiser as a kind of that pulp character that Martin Goodman used to flog before he started his comics division back in the 30s, and Tarzan was king, so it's kind of a melting pot of all that sort of stuff.
Yeah, right.
Where does Lee Falk sit on the, like, is he a good guy now? I feel like a lot of those old comic guys, like, we talk dirty about him. Where is he landed as far as, like, Lee Falk? Does he get the good skull or the bad skull? Like, what are we doing with him? That's a question.
Yeah, look, Black Panther. Oh, sorry, I got distracted by Daniel's comments. He knows he's Kirby. Lee Falk. He was primarily he was a playwright. Wrote a lot of plays. That was his passing trade, bread and butter. Worked with a lot of actors back in the day, including Brando. I feel like Phantom and Mandrake were kind of like his side hustle gigs.
Sure.
Early Phantoms were a product of their time, but he was one of those creators that was progressive and introduced things to the strip that repaired a lot of that stuff. It's no different to say Tintin when Hergé was doing those old strips, and then he eventually left his country and went traveling and learn how sort of ignorant some of his comments or his things were. So, you know, you look at a comic from the 1930s versus the 1960s, and it's going to grow and evolve. So there was a lot of things that were introduced that were, you know, if it had stayed how it was in the 30s, yes, you'd probably say in the bin. But, you know, I think it's one of those strips that really aimed to be progressive. And I mean, look, you even look at the very first strip, and Diana Palmer is punching dudes in the face herself, you know, training boxing on the ship. You know, there's always aspects to a character like that has to evolve with the times, and thankfully Falk was that kind of guy. The only ever negative stuff I ever heard with Falk was from his partner Cy Barry that worked with him for 30 odd years. He's said in interviews that the working relationship was very frustrating. So that's about it, really.
Yeah, right.
Oh,
Yes,
good work,
Yes.
though.
Cy Barry's Australian. Is he?
Cy Barry? No. No. He has visited out here,
Right.
and talks to the guys on the Chronicle Chamber X-Band podcast.
Okay.
You know, he's still with us and retired and teaching watercolor painting to others and keeping busy with commissions and things. And he's, geez, is he?
How old would he be, Paul?
I've got a feeling if he's not 90, 91, he'd be very close too. He's
right.
getting on.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'll have to. Don't quote me that. I'll Google that.
Yeah, I'm friends with his son on Facebook. I don't really know why. Who asked who? But, yeah, but he through him, I see quite a few Cy Barry updates, and he seems to be still kicking butt.
Yeah, he's quite industrious at that age, which is great. You know,
Yeah.
I think they're looking into, they still sell like original art and do commissions and things. I suppose they're keeping active in that regard. Yes.
Peter Lawson. So, as we all know, the sheriff left you wandering a dirt town back in the Wild West in the late 1800s.
Yeah.
But you came to know the Phantom first, and no one helped him, and then we'll all help him because I don't know the answer. The Defenders cartoon that we've been talking about, Mandrake, Phantom.
Yes.
Who else was on the team?
Oh, that's a good question.
Flash Gordon.
That was actually my first guess. Oh man, that's a going back.
All right, people jump in and help him. So Flash Gordon.
I never actually liked that cartoon very much.
What did you say, Stephen?
Lothar, wasn't that Mandrake's faithful sidekick? Lothar.
Yeah,
That's
right.
what I remember his name.
Okay.
Lothar, Lothar. Lothar. Well,
Yeah.
it might have been Luther. I don't know.
It sounds
that's all I
right
remember.
to me. Because we used to read the Mandrake was in the Women's Weekly.
Yeah, yes.
And we used to get the Women's Weekly regularly. Like
Sorry to
monthly.
interrupt. We just got possibly the best comment we've ever had on this show.
Jesus.
Now, Deborah, I hope that you watch next week. I hope that you're not just tuning in because your son's on the show. We hope to see you
Exactly why she's tuning in.
as a very active member of the comics community going forward. Let's not be all nepotism and all that whatnots. Sorry, Dave. Actually, rewind a little bit. Peter Lawson, give us something about the Phantom. What's your first knowing of the Phantom?
I actually think we had a Phantom comic in the house when I was a very tiny lad. Which there's that. There was a Superman one, a sort of black and white Aussie reprint thing.
Oh, yeah.
And that was about it. That was sort of my first glimpse of Phantom. And like you, in numerous show bags.
Yeah.
Never bought it. I'm going to be with you here. I interpreted it as cheap because it had the paper cover and all that. You know, it just didn't have the same oomph to me.
Yes.
It wasn't until later on that I sort of developed an appreciation.
Yeah.
When I was reading more comics, that I developed an appreciation for it.
Yeah, it's weird like that.
Yeah, it is.
Same with I had a Mandrake from a show bag as well, which was an odd size compared to my American comics, and even like the comics that had the Australian price on it instead of the American price. And I was like, this isn't imported from America, the place where all pop culture is born. Like the Logies as well. These aren't celebrities. These are Australian people. Nothing like reverse patriotism or whatever that is. Mr. Dave Dye.
Yeah.
What do you got on the Phantom? What's your first introduction to the character?
My cousin had you go around to his place and he had like boxes in his wardrobe, knee deep or higher, probably because I was a little fella then. It was probably as high as my waist of Phantom comics.
Mm-hmm.
Huge collection. This was in the 60s. So, or maybe the 70s. So, yeah, early 70s. So, yeah, that's my first memory of the Phantom. Back then, I was only reading Uncle Scrooge. But more recently, I've sort of got more on line with the Phantom and all that sort of stuff. And I only ever thought he had one ring, but I knew that symbol that you're talking about, with the cross with the P's on it, isn't it?
Yeah, that's sort of what it's like.
Yeah, look, early stories, he only had the one ring, so you would probably be correct, Dave, depending on what you're reading. I had a similar experience. I came across it from a friend's, like an older person's stash of Phantom comics. But yeah, it's Four Swords, the good mark. It's the Jungle Patrol was started by Redbeard and his gang. Phantom captured him and said, "Look, you can't be bastards anymore. You're going to do some good." The first Jungle Patrols. There are stories about the good mark, but that's essentially the idea of the Four Swords all in line.
Right. Yeah. And I know when he punched someone, it wasn't a tattoo. That was his indent, and there's an indentation on that person's jaw or their forehead.
Didn't they all try to wash it off, though?
Depends who you ask. Depends on the story. Whether it's indentation or if it's ink that can't come off. It depends on the story that they've done,
No,
and it's not 100% tight with the continuity. There is a Team Phantom and Swedish story that indicates that the iron, Nero was the one that fashioned those rings in Roman times, and the iron supposedly came from the nails of Jesus's crucifix.
Oh, wow.
Wow, okay.
That's an interesting angle.
I've got a book there I read once. I'll flick it open one day. Have a look.
Is it the Bible?
Hey, look, there's enough in there that's probably just as kooky, so who knows? It's the world's greatest fiction. So,
the thoughts and opinions of Paul Mason are not necessarily those.
I'm only kidding.
Put that
you don't need the emails. No.
Luke seemed to know what he talked about. I don't know about the Old Testament one.
Luke's my favourite apostle. I know that for sure.
He's
What's
cool.
that? Permanent IRC. What's that?
If I recall correctly.
Oh, right. Oh, I haven't ever seen that one before. Wow.
So Dave, just while we got you, an interesting thing that I like. So you weren't big into superhero comics. So I got a little bit too fantastical for you and stuff. You like more real. But so you read a comic about a duck who was rich and could dive into a big pile of coins, and it would separate like it's water. He would have broken his neck just trying to dive in that stuff.
Rob knows nothing about ducks.
No, mate, I can't pull anything over you. I can't pull the wool over your eyes, can I, mate?
I'm pretty sure ducks can just jump into a pile of coins and swim around with it. Like I'm sure I saw
like
a David
coins off
Attenborough
a duck's back.
documentary.
That's the saying.
Sorry, what did you say, Nick?
I didn't.
Scrooge could do anything. He had enough money.
For those playing at home, you can see the tension still between them. This is the first show back where we've got Alex and Dan's brother Nick on the same show.
Look at this. We got both. Sorry. Here we go. We can just.
You guys could have done a magic trick and passed it back and forth, but
yeah, there you go.
You guys just can't get on the same page at all.
Yeah. Obviously, yeah.
I can't see eye to eye or pen to pen, apparently.
It's because of this kind of uncoordination is because we can't get along.
Yeah.
That's part of it.
Just a quick aside. Well, a literal quick aside. The two Nicks met each other on the weekend for the first time. Now, starting with you, Quick, give us, in 75 sentences or less, your thoughts and feelings on meeting Nick May for the first time.
Well, he didn't have his glasses on, so I just thought he was a potential customer. And I'm like, hey, dude, come on, buy my books. He's got my books, so I don't know what I was trying to do. And then I think a few weeks ago we were talking about how buff Nick is and how he's like, we should cast him as the Rhino in Spider-Man comics. He was wearing one of those collars, those fur collars. He had a denim jacket on. I was like, look at him. He's a big face. Yeah, let's go.
You wanted to fight him?
I just wanted to wrestle a little bit. No, but he's got a presence. And then I watched him walk around the rest of the little convention and make friends, and people were just throwing comic books at him and
money.
And we touched
picturing this literally just Nick walking down and just people throwing comics at him.
No, there he is.
At me.
Yeah. Trailer comics behind him.
Nick May, same question, 75 sentences or less. Thoughts and feelings on meeting Quick Nick for the first time?
So Dave Dye had sort of set this up, talking about Nick's impressive stature. And I don't know that I necessarily believe Dave. And then so my daughter and I walked into what might have been the wrong door to get into the festival. And the first thing that we saw was this towering hunk of manliness who was potentially too good looking to be a human. And I don't want to be too foolish, but I'm just going to say to everybody out there that that this platform does not do Nick's beauty justice. So he's obviously the most handsome cartoonist ever born, but he's like an Adonis. It's just ridiculous. And he said that he was watching me, which was a lie, because Nick just looks off into the distance and everybody else in the room was just looking at Nick all the time. So beautiful that it was off-putting.
Yeah, that's our Nick. That's our Quick. You're describing it accurately there, Chernobyl.
Is he wearing glasses? So it was like this role reverse where you're not wearing glasses and he was?
It didn't happen, Alex, but next time it will.
It happened.
Well, speaking of the two Nicks meeting at Home Cooked on the weekend just gone, I don't know if you guys are familiar with the new iPhone 18 that's just come out. You can actually dial up and FaceTime with the past. It's quite a new feature. Now we're going to give it a try here live on the show. So if I can, Spedsy, are you there? Can you hear me, Spedsy? Yeah, thanks, Spedsy. I'm here at Home Cooked alongside my man here. Say good day. Is it coming through?
Yeah, I'm hearing you loud and clear. How's the future?
Yeah, so Quick, there in the studio, do you have a message you could send to
myself?
Past you?
Keep drawing, get quicker, Don't slow down. Have you seen Nick May today?
I haven't, have you?
No, sure.
And now a message from the Nick in there to this Nick.
Nick May is the most beautiful man to ever walk the planet. Nick May, beautiful.
Oh yeah. Wow, that's a lot to think about. All right, thanks, Nick. Thanks, Sizzle. All right, so Spetsy, back to you in the studio. We clear? Yeah, thanks, Spetsy. Yeah, wonderful insight there from past and present Nick. The iPhone 18 in Apple shops now.
I got a question. Money for this.
New sponsor.
Oh, we lost Alex when he was on an important iPhone.
Can I just let you know my first, because I met Nick May for the first time in the flesh at the Northcote Home Cooked.
Yeah.
And my first impression, as I cracked my neck looking up at him, he's so tall.
You were patting me on the head, saying, "What's going on, little boy?"
I said, mate, I thought you were smaller than that. You look smaller on TV.
For those playing at home, I'll just pop up a picture here. You can see the height disparity. Obviously, Dave is way smaller than we thought. Quick is also quite short. And then towering above us all is the Adonis, the mentor to the real Adonis, but the furry coat Adonis. It's Nick May right there, and
yeah,
you can see Peter May in there, guys.
People just kept chucking at him.
It looks like Nick May's wearing tracksuit pants. And doesn't Rob have a theory about people who wear tracksuit pants out in public? I'm not sure.
Yeah, I do actually. You
I don't you remember that.
You won't get any chicks.
What is it? What is it?
That's you, Pete. Sorry, and Pete, I chose a photo that I know you hate, but I look good in it. So you're already right.
Yeah, Daniel, best. You're right. We're standing on a box.
Can I just butt in as well? Sorry, because obviously it was the first time that I'd met Dave Dye as well. And Dave Dye on this show, to me, he looks like this cuddly sort of bear of a man, like a nice, friendly unit. Maybe years out of the armed forces have made him a bit soft. And it's just like, Dave is everyone's favorite uncle. And when I saw him, this guy is about 6'2", and he is like carved out of granite. And I took his hand, and he crushed my hand. I don't think I'll be able to draw again. I was surprised again, just straight out of a Kirby comic, really. Just this massive man. Yeah.
Now, just for those playing at home, I just want it noted for my self-esteem as well that Quick, Dave, and Nick have all had this circle jerk of telling each other of how good-looking they are in person. Not one of them commented on my good looks or how beefy I am or anything like that.
Okay, I will say, I'll say one thing. Usually when I meet people, they make fun of how soft my hands are because I've never done a day's work in my life. For whatever reason, even though I've known Rob for a long time, I shook his hand and it was like touching fairy floss in a rubber glove. It's actually, his hands are the softest things that have ever been created.
He washes in palm olive.
I think so.
When me and Nick shook hands, it was like two pressed hams, just two Christmas hams, just rubbing up against each other. The smoothest, silkiest hands you've ever felt.
Yeah, baby.
All right, golly, Stephen McLeod, my friend.
Yes.
Let us hear what your experience is with the Phantom.
Okay. It was mainly my uncle. He collected two comics, the Conan the Barbarian and the Phantom. Actually, no, three. The old army was like the army tanks, the little mini sort of World War
Commando?
1 or 2, wherever in the world. And he collected those three, and I fell in love with the comics back then. And I sort of shifted away from the Phantoms years later because I discovered the Marvel universe. But now, you know, as you get older, you sort of move away from the Marvel universe into, you know, European comics. And my love affair with the manga and anime. But yeah, the Phantom, I had a soft spot for that because of I loved how they drew the landscapes and the jungle and the silly sort of, what is it, this old jungle saying, Phantom sort of such and such.
Old jungle.
And the Sing Brotherhood. It was always adventures, so it was a great distraction when you're growing up. And I always loved the black and white, strong, bold lines. Yeah, it was one of those good memories as a kid. But the paper was so bloody flimsy, and so if you get it wet or if you spill it, then you know the comic sort of virtually dissolves like tissue paper.
Yeah, but that was part of the charm, mate.
Yep.
Yeah, it had a smell. It's pretty like that newsprint smell was pretty cool.
The smell of dying trees.
Fish and chips.
Yeah, that's right.
We've got competition.
Ah, Davo.
Oh boy.
Power.
I said the Lord of the Rings, new Lord of the Rings show.
I think it's like a prequel or something type thing.
I mean, that's not on now. That's on just after we finish up tonight. So.
Yeah, that's not talking about
I've got it. I'm recording. I'm watching that as soon as I finish. I'll turn it on. Not like you can't just put it on when you want. Never do that.
Mr. Paul Mason, sorry, just as you've been here the whole time, and I waited till you turned around.
You're right. You're right.
Maybe I'll just we could get Deborah to fill in while you're indisposed. No, you're back. All right.
Yeah.
Where does your love affair with the Phantom begin?
When I was a kid, we moved around a lot, and for a little while we were living with some family friends, and they didn't have a TV, but they had a massive fish tank. So we used to just watch that, and then when we got bored, I dug around and found a box of Phantom comics. So that was probably my first foray into comics in general. So he was always a character that was on my radar. I used to, in year 4 and year 5 of school, I'd get the Sunday papers and the weekly paper or whatever, and open up the strips and copy some Cy Barry faces. I think he was, well, if it was 95, 96, I think he was still there. Unless Keith Williams and George Olsen were. Oh no, they didn't take over till later. But yeah, that was, and then of course, like a couple of you were saying earlier, I sort of transitioned into Marvel comics as I got a little bit older. But then when I finished my first uni degree and I was starting to pick up newsstand comics again and sort of, checking out the latest Spider-Man or Punisher or whatever, Phantom was on the bookshelf. So I grabbed a few of those and kind of fell back in with it. But I did lose a little bit of contact until, working for Frew. Then I had to kind of crash course and, get back into it again. So, yeah, he was always a character that I dug because he, I always thought it was funny. He wears 2 guns on his hips, but he chooses to punch people anyway. I thought that was pretty metal. So,
yeah.
Fucking not going to waste a bullet on you. Bam, bam,
Yeah.
So.
Well, see, now the tricky bit here as a world-renowned journalist is that my next question would be to follow up on just your throwaway line there when I started working for Frew. So what we should do, I think, is to turn this into a fully fledged segment.
Now it's the part of the show where we shine a big shiny spotlight on one of our creator friends. This week, we welcome
Name
and talk about their creative journey. Please, everybody, make some noise for
Name.
That's right. This week's name is Paul Mason, who, found his first Phantom comic inside an aquarium. That was our takeaway from that story.
It was a waterproof edition.
Now, so many questions. He of the Phantom, he of Kid Phantom, he of the recently kickstarted and released creator-owned Flock. I want to know it all. Paul, take us back. I want to know it all, Paul. That's our latest. That's our next segment, man. Take us all the way back. Where does the love affair with comics begin? With writing, with drawing, with creating, and how do you turn that into working with one of the biggest characters in comic books?
Probably kindergarten. It was my first memories of. They had the Adam West TV show on in reruns in the afternoon. And I remember being sort of fascinated with it to the point where, like, in kindergarten, we're supposed to do a daily journal, draw a picture of whatever. And mine was always Batman and Robin on the Batmobile, bashing the crap out of blank. That was all I drew.
Yeah.
So so as a kid, I do recall at one point wanting to be a cop, and I drew a picture of a cop because we had to draw, like, who do you want to be when you grow up? What do you want to do? So I drew a cop and realized I probably liked the drawing better than becoming a cop. So I pretty much, as long as I can remember, I always wanted to be a cartoonist.
Right.
Cartoons, work in comics or animation, whatever that term cartoonist meant. I didn't quite know what it meant, but I knew it had something to do with cartoons and comics, and that was it. So definitely, like, as I was saying, we were living with friends at the time. We went through some tough stuff as a kid, and discovered the Phantom through there. And then when I went to primary school, and school libraries always had Asterix and Tintin on the shelves. And then news agency still stocked comics in the 90s, and I fell in love with Spider-Man. Spider-Man was my guy, along with the Phantom as a kid. I at one point I would I love this. At one point I'd save up pocket money and I'd go to secondhand bookstores, and either my mum or my dad would take me in on the weekends. I'd spend my pocket money on picking up comics, or kung fu lessons when I started to get into martial arts. So that was pretty much it for a long time. Like just picking up newsstand editions, discovering comic stores and going. I had to kind of put it aside for a while because you could only afford, either buying comics or martial art classes. So. That was it until after my after my first uni degree. I went into a newsagent and just to see what was happening, and started getting back into comics again in the early 2000s. I haven't collected a mainstream book in over a decade or so or more, but you follow the certain artists and you go back in time in the collection and pick up artist runs or try other European comics, or and then particularly with working for Fru, picking up those old Phantoms. But I started doing comics probably mid 2000s. I had a lot of rejection letters from different places. I was too young, to do graphic design, or I didn't have the skill sets that they were looking for. I do recall applying to Disney a couple of times, getting some feedback as to what to study and what to do. Nicest rejection letter I ever got was Joe Quesada back in the day when Marvel was still accepting submissions. But actually, Dave's probably holding up one of my first serious forays into trying comics as part of my honors year at uni. So Older Legacy character, which was that was fun, and inadvertently had a lot of Phantom tropes in there without thinking too hard about it. So it was very fortuitous starting that comic. I had it printed via Jeffries, based in Sydney there, and at the time Jeffries were printing their own line of books and releasing them in the newsstands, like Chris Sequeira's Dark Detective, Sherlock Holmes, and Jan Schopenhausen's series, Jason Polos's Eek. So they asked me if I wanted to do Soldier Legacy under their banner, and I did for a few years. So that's where it all kind of started. I heard somebody spilt some ink, or I had to go there.
Was that you? We heard a runaway F word on the
internet. I don't even know if I'm online.
So, Paul, what was it like? We're obviously, a lot of us here are no stranger to rejection letters. What was it like, I guess, receiving a I don't think I've ever received one. I'm trying to think what the opposite is. An approval? Sorry, a message from your mum. I took him to King's Comics as a little boy, and he told me one day his comics would be there in the store.
Oh, wow.
True. How
I guess I did. I remember going. I don't remember being that cocky. That
no, I prefer it's like a prophetic. You were like you were the chosen one. It was a prophecy. You could see it.
It's not. Look, actually, I've had Soldier, and I've had a few other books in the store once. I remember the first time when Kid Phantom popped up there, and I remembered asking. Now I should preface the story with that King's Comics are a lovely crew and very nice, but I must have caught a shop assistant on a bad afternoon. It is retail, so I've worked retail for years, so I understand. And I said, "Oh, great! Hopefully these are getting picked up. Anyone buying these?" And he's sort of like, "No, not really." And it sort of deflated that feeling of having the book in the store. But no, I do like King's. It was my first store of going to. And when Soldier Legacy was on television for the Yui ad, they decked out King's Comics with Soldier Legacy stuff and did the whole thing with the actor wearing the mask and all that sort of stuff. So that I kind of got a kick out of that.
Wait, cool. Hang on, rewind. Soldier Legacy, your comic book?
Yes.
Was on television.
It was just in 2011. Blackhouse Baden, who runs Jeffries, he was approached. They were searching for an Aussie property to use in an ad. Yui Insurance had a bunch of ads that centered around the idea of, no matter what you're into, our insurers know what you're talking about, or something like that. So they did one about insect. They call that study of insects, whatever, a fancy term.
Entomology.
That's the one. They did one like that. It was a cricket one, and then they did 2 ads set in the comic book store, and the whole conceit of it was the guy behind the counter was talking about this particular comic book that was out, and talking to the customer, and they were both interested in what each other were talking about, and it was about insurance being interested in whatever you're into and whatever. So. They used the Soldier Legacy as the comic that the guy was talking about. There was like a cardboard cutout of the character in the background. There were a few posters. They had issues on the shelves. They used some of Blackhouse's other books, and Jason Franks' book and that sort of thing. And then they made a little statue of the soldier character.
Wow.
And then the girl at the end of the ad puts on a mask and a slouch hat. And they're pretending to be in the comic at the end of the ad. So I think that was the only reason why there was any kind of interest in what I was doing, enough that I went on to do conventions and stuff, like Supernova said, yeah, we'll have him along, here's a table, and all that sort of thing. That kind of gave me a bit of cred for a hot minute. So.
Wow, yeah, I was going to ask, did you see a little boost in sales? Maybe a boost in opportunities is more accurate.
Boost in opportunities is probably more accurate. I don't know about sales per se. You know, Australian comics is very invisible industry in that sense, and it's hard to sort of. The ad doesn't necessarily clarify whether the thing is an actual thing or not. So the average person wouldn't know if it is actually a book or whatever. But it was enough to parlay. You know, my friend Chris was sort of like my Yoda at the time. You know, he was the one that saw potential in the scribbling that I did and said you could push this further and get into this sort of stuff. So for a while there, he was the one that used to help. You know, I'm going to a con, and my buddy Paul here is got a book under the same publishing label, and you know, do all this stuff. And we go overseas, and I'd use basically the opportunity to meet people and get feedback on my work, and you know, put a book in front of like Walter Simonson or Howard Chaykin or whatever, and talk to them and get some feedback and hang out and do all that sort of stuff. That's how I eventually met Wolfgang and the Gestalt guys, and used to see them religiously, you know, and Chewy Chan, and just let them chew my work out and tell me what I'm doing wrong and take it on board and push forward. So. And
then how did you end up doing? It was Kid Phantom first before the Phantom. Through. How did all that come about? So Chris had been sort of in contact over the years with Frew, and a lot of the guys knew of Glenn and had all that experience in the local scene. He heard that Glenn and his partner Renee White had gotten you know, purchased Frew to continue the Phantom publishing in Australia. That's
Glenn Ford you're talking about.
Glenn Ford, yes. Sorry, I should have clarified that. And Chris put together a pitch for a Phantom by Gaslight idea. You know, Chris being a big fan of Sherlock Holmes, and not only a fan but an expert in the character, and written books and obviously the Dark Detective series. You know, he loves that Victorian era, the Hammer horror kind of stuff. So he put forward this series, and Glenn, from my understanding, Glenn had Jason Polos in mind as an artist instead. But he did say, I've got this other thing that I just sought approval from King Features for. And it was this, that's great, Nick. Thank you. Which was essentially this this idea that kind of, you know, focused on the Phantom as a kid. Essentially, it was like there was two panels in an old Lee Falk, Wilson McCoy. I think it was the first Childhood of the Phantom story. There's like two panels, and it jumps a good like 5 or 6 years in time. So he wanted to kind of hone in on that hole in the story. You know, unfortunately, the series, we only did like 10 or 11 issues. We never got to that point. But we were able to expand in between some of the elements of the story. But yeah, I'm jumping ahead. Essentially, Glenn said your art might suit this thing that we want to do. So we went over to San Diego Comic-Con in 2016, and I was sitting in the hotel room just doodling what a Kid Phantom would look like, essentially. And then when I got back, I think it was Oz Comic-Con in Sydney, I met Glenn for the first time, and he chucked a synopsis in front of me and went, "Away you go." So,
wow,
yeah, good,
awesome.
From there, so interesting.
There's so many things I want to ask you. We're already at the hour mark. Just tell us two little questions. You're a doctor, yeah? What are you a doctor of?
Oh, just comics and animation, essentially. That was my focus.
Really?
I finished a Bachelor of Animation at Griffith Film School. Did my honours year.
Right.
You know, just kind of put the application in on the last day. Didn't even know honours was a thing until I saw people putting it in for it. I went, all right. Because it gives you an opportunity to kind of hone in and study one thing you wanted to do.
Yeah.
So I just focused on I was fascinated with Jack Kirby. So I just focused on, you know, what's the formula essentially? Like why were all these multi-billion-dollar companies making a lot of money off the idea of essentially came out of 2 or 3 people's heads. So I want to research that and then dig into, you know, what was the essence of the characters that they were doing. That's great, Nick.
Something to think about, you know, keep that in mind, mate. You know.
So I did my honors year in that, and that was when I did the first issue of the Soldier Legacy. And then they one day I got a phone call. I was sitting in the car park about to go into David Jones. I worked at David Jones as a sales assistant first, and then as a loss prevention officer. So I'm sitting in the car park. I'm already 10 minutes late for my shift because I'm thrilled to be there. And I get a phone call from the head of
no other store like it.
I get a phone call from the head of QCA, and he says, listen, what are your plans for next year? And I looked to the left and looked to the right and went, yeah, hopefully not in this car park. You actually did really well in your marks. You pretty much you got a gold pass. Essentially, you can you've got a small like scholarship stipend if you decide to study next year, and you can pretty much do whatever you want. You can do a master's, a DVA, which is a doctorate in visual arts, or you can do a PhD. And I said, well, what's the difference? And at the time, he said, well, PhD is primarily written work. Your DVA is the equivalent of a doctorate in Australia, but it allows you to work from a studio practice as well. And then, of course, your master's, but it doesn't allow you to teach at university. And we think that you might want to come into teaching in that regard. So I picked the DVA because I said, well, I kind of like comics. I want to keep doing comics. I don't know what I can do with comics in Australia. There's maybe no opportunities, but I know that if I apply to places, they're not going to read my 70,000 word document. They're going to want to look at pretty pictures. So I picked the DVA and went from there. I did my Soldier Legacy series allowed me to, you know, as I was saying earlier, travel, talk to creators, get feedback. You know, eventually picked up the Gestalt work, and just before I finished that Elridge Kid book, got the Kid Phantom opportunity. So it was always, you know, I'm not naturally a person that likes to put myself out there or talk to, you know, people in the know or talk business. I know there's a lot of that hustle mentality. It's not bullshit. I know it's important, but it's just not my personality. So it's kind of fortunate that I had those things come up as I was pushing along the way. But that's 10 years. You know what I mean? That's a lot of between finishing my start my doctorate in 2010. You know, Soldier Legacy was 2009. You know, I got Kid Phantom in end of 2016, 2017. So I'm kind of telling the nutshell version for you. But that's essentially. You know,
well, yeah, when Sizzle told me we were having Dr. Paul Mason on the show, I got this weird growth on my back that I was hoping to show you. But
I can give you triage. I can tell you to go see a doctor. That's about it.
What would happen? I don't know how literal you are, but like if you're on a plane and someone has a heart attack and they say, "Is there a doctor on board?" Like, do you put your hand up because like you're like, well,
draw the chalk outline around him when he or a stenographer maybe. I go, anyone got my purple pencils run out? I want to draw his asphyxiation.
Yeah, he wasn't now 9.8, but now I pronounce him a 3. Yeah, we're running out of time, but Paul, we'd be remiss if we didn't talk about Flock, which is your latest creator-owned book. I've heard nothing but good things. Can you give us the little pun not intended, the little sizzle reel, the little cell for us? What's it about? Why is it awesome?
Well, do you want me to give you what it's about from the way I plugged it in the Kickstarter, or what?
Yeah, give us the plug. Give us the cell.
I hate the cell. I to be honest with the book, I if anyone's read it, they know that I didn't tell anyone what it was actually about until they.
Oh,
read
okay.
So,
all right.
But basically, it's a bloke. It's the late '60s. There's a bloke in a bar down in near Parramatta, and he's telling his story to a bartender on a quiet afternoon. You know, KFC's just opened in Granville, and he's mulling away about his life as a soldier, starting in World War One. And then it takes a bit of a swerve and starts to lead through from World War One to the Emu Wars to, Korea, World War Two Korea, and then Vietnam, and then the Second Emu War and the disappearance of Harold Holt and how KFC started in Australia. So it's kind of
this is brilliant.
it's kind of
Emu War.
I don't know. Someone said yes, the bartender is based on Paul Hogan. You nailed it. Well done, Dan. Thank you too for supporting it.
Is Daniel Best still watching? Because Daniel Best is hanging for Emu War content. If he hasn't,
it's historical fiction, so it touches on the facts, but then it kind of shits on it. Not really. Like it just kind of plays with it. I don't like to change history. I like to weave within history. It's like the Phantom in Vietnam series. I'm not doing a Quentin Tarantino and we're dragging out Ho Chi Minh and LBJ or not LBJ. Lyndon Johnson, getting them to put heads together and all that sort of thing. But give Nixon a skull mark or something.
Yes, Daniel Best. I'm working on an Emu War story of my own.
Oh, very good. I look forward to reading it.
Now, thank you very much, Paul. It's an absolute pleasure to have you on the show.
That's okay.
Please don't be a stranger. We're gonna quickly check in with the man before he's finished up. Mr. Dave Dye.
Oh, thanks, man.
Where we at? What we doing?
I'm just putting a bit of watercolour on there now. It looks a bit washed out there, doesn't it?
That's the screen, mate.
Looks awesome.
The light's a bit bright, washed out. Yeah, it's better down there. Yeah, maybe the purple isn't good enough.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah. Not too sure what colour this is on his belt there, Paul, where the little triangles and the skull. Is that grey in there?
Depends what country you're in, but really, I just when I think of it in colour, I always do grey with a light grey or a white skull. It's up to you.
All right. Yeah.
Sometimes they do it yellow. Sometimes it's red. It's
Paul, what's the go with the grey Phantom and the purple Phantom? What's the go there, mate?
So apparently, and there is a line in one of the early stories that Lee Falk had intended the character to be grey in tone. I think there was an early talk of him calling him the Grey Ghost or something similar. Someone in King Features coloured it purple when it went out in colour, and it kind of stuck from there. So he just was angry, but he made adjustments. But that's essentially it. Sometimes he would appear like the way that the printing would work. It would be like more of a purpley grey tone. So, it depends on each country. Have done something different. Like in Sweden, he's blue. Countries like Brazil or Spain, he's red. Australia, when he was published in the Women's Weekly, he was green. In New Zealand, he was like a yellowy brown. So it's, he's just one of those rainbow sort of characters, depending on where it is in the world. But primarily, purple was a mistake, I guess, much like, the original Hulk or the original Iron Man and all that. It's just printing errors and weird choices by people, and they adjust as they go.
Well, let's take a look at some of the colors that our artists at home have chosen. Stiz, we've got quite a little collection building up there.
We do. Some are from people in the room, but yes, most of them are from viewers. So we'll start with Danny Nolan. And I'll bring it up twice so everyone can see it.
Oh, there you go.
Nice.
Fantastic. Good on you, Danny.
Nice work, Danny.
Good. Nice.
Punching.
And then there's Morgan Quaid, who admits to tracing. And he thought it was a good chance to do a bit of publicity while he was at it.
Nice. I see what you did there, Morgan.
Yes.
Morgan. Yeah.
Nice.
Public enmity.
Yeah.
Well done,
And
Morgan.
then we've
Excellent.
got one.
Work, Morgan.
This is Ryan's pencils and Lee's inks.
Ryan Veller and Lee
Oh,
Chalker.
how
Ryan
brilliant.
Bella, sorry,
Wow.
and Lee Chalker. Yeah.
You go down and up, Sis.
Oh,
Oh, yeah.
Oh, right.
Wow.
The team. How'd
RSI
they
is
do
looking
that?
at
The
that.
team working.
Those two guys must give each other headaches. Like, here's 10,000 lines I need you to ink, please. No worries. Here's 10,000 right back at you, my friend.
Why are
And
you
Ryan,
scrapping?
to show off, drew another one.
Oh,
right.
Very good.
Cool. Those flowers for sale are really
Very
fun.
good, fellas.
Yeah, great.
Ryan and Lee, fantastic.
Mm.
And then we had one come in from Mark Randall.
That's
So that was pretty cool. Thank you, Mark.
Can't see it.
Symbol.
Flick
Yeah,
it up.
Ryan.
I can see Ryan's second one.
Oh, sorry. What about now?
Oh, yeah,
Hey.
there I got it. Ah,
Oh,
the
there's-
sword.
There's the 4 Ps.
There's the swords.
Yeah.
Yep.
Nice work, Mark Randall.
And then I cheated and I drew before. I was going to color it in and I checked the color and it didn't work on the page very well. So I left it black and white. But I also
Hey,
looked at Morgan Quaid's picture and said, yeah, I
Hey.
could plug something in here. Why not plug
Oh,
the,
no.
the website
Sizzle.
for the show?
Very
Did you
good.
trace that, Sizzle?
Sorry?
Did you trace that?
No.
That's fantastic, mate. Looks like a bloody professional job.
yeah, you could get your own
I'm not
style.
that tiny head, though. I realized the head was tiny afterwards.
That's proportionate.
I like the putting. We could start
That's
selling
fine.
sponsorship ads to.
Mm.
Oh, Steven's gone.
Way to go. Look what
Oh,
Steve's
Oh, hang on.
got.
I'll bring up Steve. Oh, okay.
Okay.
What a ripper.
Hell yeah.
Wow.
He's on roids, something fierce. So I just sort of ran with it.
Yeah, Steve.
Hell
Oh,
yeah.
it's amazing.
Awesome.
That's awesome.
Thank you. Too kind.
Hey,
And that
Paul,
brings us
it's,
to Spedsies.
oh, here we go.
Whoa. Whoa.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Look it up.
Very
Action
nice.
shot. I love it.
There's the
Can't
guy.
see it.
Lines. Beautiful lines.
Yeah, that's
Can't
cool.
see it.
Oh, okay. What about now?
Nah.
I'll try again.
All right, Dave. We'll just keep bringing it up and down for the.
Ah, there it is. Oh, yeah.
I'll bring it up in a minute.
Come on, Spedzy. Got the ring and the
And
gun.
according to me and Nick May are the hottest, according to my.
What?
And then
Your cat?
we have one from
Your
Daniel
dog?
Best.
Whoa, Daniel Best. We've got some riders dropping some drawings today.
Everyone's going.
Yes.
Nice.
Oh, yeah.
Very nice.
Yeah.
Riders gonna draw.
Riders
Best.
cannot
You're-
draw.
Very good, Dan.
Thank you, Daniel. That's awesome.
I
Yeah.
was going to
While I've got
Dan-
Daniel's picture up, just remember.
say Danny's
Chinwag
drawing
next
is
Tuesday.
improving.
Oh, sorry, what was that, Dave?
Danny's drawing is improving.
Oh, this is Daniel Best.
Yeah. Fantastic, mate.
It's his best. Yeah.
It's the best. Yeah.
And then
Daniel
we've
not
got
bad.
Dan. Oh, sorry, Peter's showing his.
Oh, look out, Pete.
Everyone's trying to rush in, and where is Peter's page? Oh, there it is.
Oh, that is phenomenal.
What a ripper.
Oh, my goodness.
Looking
Well
good,
done,
Peter.
Oh yeah,
Holy
Oh,
Oh, there it
cow.
is. That's rad.
yeah.
good.
Well, Pete, good work.
There's a bit of tweaking, but yeah.
Okay, back to the list. Okay, Dan May.
What? So then,
Goodness me.
oh,
Oh, holy moly!
Good.
Blimey.
Nice
Wow.
work, Dan.
It's
What?
phenomenal.
2 rings.
2 rings.
Ah, nice.
I wonder if he
Yeah,
added the
yeah.
ring. Oh, maybe
Very
he's
good,
using
Dan.
reference that had the 2 rings. I've never known the other ring to exist. That's awesome.
He's doubling up.
That's awesome. Then we have Peter Wilson, who decided to do Kid Phantom.
I was thinking about doing that.
Oh,
Yeah.
Good one.
That is cool.
You can see the Pete.
Yeah, good one, Pete.
What's on the belt buckle?
Awesome.
Is it SpongeBob SquarePants?
It's just a little skull, I think.
Little skull
Like a happy
No,
skull.
it's a skull. I can see
without
it.
the dome.
It's the face of a skull, yeah.
I'm looking at a
Square
tiny
skull, but it's
Yeah,
a
right
skull.
up.
Those shorts are cool.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Okay, and then we've got
Yeah,
Tony
very
Menzie.
Only.
Oh, why is that not coming up?
Oh, I see it.
I can see it.
I don't.
I can't see it.
I can see Pete
Everyone
Wilson.
else see it?
Nah,
wow.
Sorry, my computer's freezing up big time.
There it is.
holy moly.
Yeah.
Now that's you got to be able to do that in an hour if you're paying your attention. No distractions.
You got it done in an hour. You just spent 5 previous hours.
That's brilliant.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Very good, Tony.
Good work, Tony. Oh, Sizzle's completely out of it. Sorry, I
Spedzy.
should. Yeah, mate. You want me to take over?
You'll
Yeah,
fade
take
me out
over.
soon.
My
Yeah.
computer's crapping out.
All right, we'll do. We've got Nick May next. Tell me if it's not coming up or if it's.
I see it.
Yes.
No?
That's cool.
You know what's going on here, Nick? He's reaching for a big drum.
The drum of Tim Penny. Yeah, but the guy controlled the Phantom with it. It was the one story from my childhood that really stuck with me, I think.
Oh, right.
They used that as the first sketch cover for Fru a couple of years back.
Wow.
That story, yeah. And recently, I think they did a sequel story. Maybe Andrew Constant wrote that one. I can't remember, but yeah, great. Well done, Nick.
I'm leaving it up a second longer because I'm just hoping Alex Major will come back to see the shoes. Because this show needs a bit of drama. And I know a lot of people are tuning in to see what will happen next. Will Alex continue to slag off the shoes, and will Nick May take it so personally? And
Right.
next week on
Thin Skin May.
yeah. Now we've got 2 from Deshaun, one in black and white and one with color. So we will go with the black and white, and we'll make do a flicky flick. See what we got.
Wow.
Ooh.
Oh, man.
Awesome.
Very good, mate.
All right, see if this works.
Very good, Dushan.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, that's rad.
Wow.
Thanks.
Very nice.
I like the shiny
Hello,
muscles.
mate.
Very
Yeah.
nice.
Oh,
That's
right.
amazing.
That colour.
That's what Nick
Excellent.
May looks like in
Beautiful.
public. In real life. Same
He's
vibe.
He's like flashing
Especially the
purple.
hair.
Yeah, the dome and the muscles. That's the vibe right there.
Mm.
And then the lady who I believe today got promoted to CEO of ComX, at least that's what her photos led me to believe, because she had a cool new hat. It is Dana King, aka DK.
Oh, here we go. This will be good.
Oh,
Yeah.
Those are
she's-
some,
DK.
those are some kissable lips.
Yeah.
He's got the movie suit on. Those
Yeah, it's
movie
Billy
suits.
Zane.
Very
rad.
good.
Oh, yeah,
Well
that
done,
does have
Dana.
Billy Zane vibes.
Yeah.
Very good.
That
Blue
background
eyes,
is
yeah.
really cool with everything going on. It's rad.
Nice work, DK.
Yeah.
Who haven't we? Mr. Paul Mason.
Yes.
Have you been drawing, or you just?
I was noodling
this whole time.
I was noodling while I was talking earlier, and then when you started showing stuff, I went, shit, I better start inking. So I'm only it's not quite there, but it's started.
That's okay.
I did like
Oh, right.
Oh, nice.
It's not quite
It's
there
not
yet.
quite there. Bloody hell!
Not
Hang it
quite
up, mate.
there.
It's done. frame it and put it on the wall.
No, I can't.
Deborah, he's being humble again.
No,
Come and get your boy.
I don't have any of my own work up on the walls except if it's on the to-do list. So that's like to-do list.
It's pretty hard to answer all these questions and all that stuff and do your drawing, mate. So we understand not getting it finished.
Thank you, Dave.
About that.
No, it's all right. You can you hold up that end of the fort for me while you do your nice watercolors, mate. I'm just I just got lost in the trying to remember my own history.
Yeah, well, as I said, mate, you can't do two things. Quite often, pretty hard to make answer intelligent. I don't know if the questions are intelligent, but make intelligent answers out of those crazy questions.
Wait, that was
sorry. Sorry.
Sometimes because I get buried in the digital work, because I do a lot of my comic strips on the iPad. Just so that I don't have to be stuck in an office 24/7. I can, venture outside once in a while and we'll see family or whatever. So I, apart from commissions, I transitioned halfway through Kid Phantom to doing digital work. So while I'm talking, I'm noodling and not really focused on what I'm doing. And then when I make a mistake, I find myself tapping the paper to undo things. It doesn't seem to work like that for some reason.
We've heard that story a few times.
Yeah.
Been a few people said that one.
Yeah, I bet.
Print it out, frame it, it's ready, it's done. Good work.
Nice work, Nick.
Just before we move on, I just wanted to show Peter's a bit better than it was on the tablet on the screen.
Yeah, Pete.
Thing of beauty.
Look at those muscles on the side there. Hell yeah.
Obliques.
Asterix.
Peter.
Spedsy.
I wouldn't know, Dave. Never seen anything like that down here.
No, nothing. Ribs. I used to see ribs. I don't see them anymore.
Yeah.
Ribs.
I could go some ribs, some buffalo
barbecue
sauce.
Maybe.
Yeah.
Our pizza shop don't have them anymore. I'm really annoyed.
You don't? You lost yours, Pete?
Our pizza shop stopped doing ribs. I'm really annoyed with it.
I was going to say, mate, skinny bloke like you, I reckon you'd be able to see your ribs, no worries.
Not anymore. A couple of years ago, maybe, but get a bit.
Your skin and
In the
bone,
middle
mate.
there, right?
Like a scun rabbit.
Your ribs start to sag, don't they, Dave, as you get older?
You wait till you see Paul Mason in the bloody flesh, mate. You want to see muscle?
We should have a ComX fight club, and the two Paul Mason versus Quick for first they could do one of those a bodybuilding contest, and then they can fight to the death.
Nick May, yeah.
Yeah, Nick May will be the contender. Paul, it's you against Nick, all right?
Yeah.
As long as Nick's all right with it.
He's our best man.
You got insurance, right, Nick? You're all good.
ComX. That's great.
Come out.
You're good. It's all right. I don't hear, mate. I don't hear you. You're good.
All right, Sis, where we at? Are you? Shall we go into our final segment?
I've got one more picture
No.
by Stephanie Wallace.
Stephanie.
Steph's one of my students.
That's cool.
Wow. Good on you,
Cute.
Stephanie.
Oh, that's beautiful.
Yeah, very good.
Love it.
That's it.
Thank you, Stephanie. That's awesome.
Very nice.
I like the movement and the weight that she's got in that. That's just really good. Simple drawing, but nicely caricature. Good work.
You could make a nice little vinyl figure out of it. Looks pretty cool.
Yeah.
Steph does. She's in her third year animation at the moment, working on a graduate film, and has done my comics course as well. She's does some great comics. So.
Right.
Ah,
Yeah.
awesome.
Oh,
Well,
obviously
Steph,
you're on the
yeah, we'd
show.
love to have you on the show. We you know, keep sending art in, or otherwise we'd love to have you here in the room, chat to you, and draw alongside you. It'd be awesome. So yell out, it'd be cool.
I'm sure
Now,
she's jumping up and down, screaming right now. So.
Oh, awesome!
Happiness.
Yeah, we'd love to.
Hey,
and Tom McGee. Tom does some great comics too. Actually, you should. He'd be on the chat too. Griffin.
Right. Good.
Cool.
Alex Mayor has done a Phantom.
He has, yeah.
He's not here.
Oh.
No, he's dropped out.
Sizzle's missed some amazing comments. So this is obviously talking about.
There's so many comments.
No, sorry, yeah, because
pictures there was 30.
You've been really
30
busy. So quick. I don't know if this is you or May, but you would get your butt kicked. Here's another person weighing in. Paul would win.
Oh, there you go. Oh, that's Amanda. G'day, Amanda.
It's all right,
How
Nick.
you going?
Nick, you're safe. It's all right, mate. It's all hypothetical. All right. I would hypothetically win. It's okay.
We haven't heard from Deborah yet. Deborah, who do you reckon? What, even if the two Nicks teamed up to take on Paul?
Mum's got like 2 or 3 boxes of trophies at home. It's not a good idea, fellas.
That's awesome.
That's why you're my mates. It's okay.
Yeah, black belt.
You're on this side of the fence. We'll worry about everyone else on that side.
That's I've got a couple of boxes of trophies. I wouldn't try it, fellas. That's pretty like.
Well, my mum has the trophies. It's all good.
Yeah.
I don't put them on display. The sum total of my fighting career is a little corner behind my doorway right there. So that's it. Shove it all
They
there.
don't call him Black Belt Mason for no reason, fellas.
Yeah.
And that's fair dinkum.
Otherwise, his pants will fall down.
There's something cooler about having them in boxes, just to be able to say, I've got a couple of boxes of trophies.
It sounds in hindsight, it's very wanky, but I was trying to reassure my new friends here that this is all in jest.
I'm trying to work out how to work it into a script. Like you've got the guy outside the pub, and the hoons come out to try to pick a fight, and it's just like, now, fellas, I get a couple of boxes of trophies. So I'll work on it.
I always want to do a line in a comic, and I'll probably write it into a later one where, a guy's like, yelling, he's being kicked out of a bar or something. He's like, "Oh, I'm going to call my lawyer. I'm going to call this. I'm going to call that," and it has to be a period piece because I know that we don't carry money anymore. But I just like the idea of someone reaching into a pocket and tossing coins at him and go, "Well, fucking call them then," just something like that. Maybe I could do it with an iPhone now or something. He just flicks in the phone and goes, "Hello," and you're good to go. So
yeah,
give him a ring. Yeah,
you got to make it modern.
Yeah, you do.
So our dear friend Alex Major, who has dropped out, will hopefully return at some point. But until then, he has left us with an animation, as he is known to do. The Phantom, who will wrestle or dance with or pull from his costume an Australian character. Sizzle, who we got? Hey!
Together at last.
He who shall remain nameless, is it?
Yes.
Nice.
Very good.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Lovely.
Good work, Alex.
Nice one, Alex, if you're watching.
Got some good squash and stretch. I dig it.
Yeah, nice bit of dancing.
Yeah.
All right, well, we might head into our last little thingy, my Bob.
Before we do, I would like to say thank you to the read this so I don't get it wrong, Douglas Daly School in Northern Territory. They did a comic that they've sent me called The Super Boiled Egg.
Oh, right.
Rightio.
I'm covering the name.
From Darwin.
There we go.
Tell us more, Fizz.
There's quite a story behind it, and it started off as a rip-off of an evil Humpty Dumpty,
Okay.
that went out to thwart other superfoods, and then it sort of became a bunch. He battled evil foods instead, so he became the good guy. And then he got a super boiled egg, got a super boiled Meg girlfriend.
Okay.
And then yeah, they're just saying that it was printed in Charles Darwin University.
Right. Can you show us inside?
That's
And
a
it's
ripper.
saying thank you from Blinky. So Blinky is the one who organised all this.
Good on you, Blinky.
Well done,
done.
Blinky.
Blinky. Can you show us inside?
Yeah,
Cheers.
yeah. All the scenes apparently are based on places in the Northern Territory.
Okay.
Lovely.
Oh yeah,
Right.
Mataranka.
Awesome.
Yeah, so I just want to give a bit of a
Yeah,
shout
sure.
out to them for that.
Oh, that's great.
that's
Good
great.
on you. Good work.
Hopefully, I got the story right.
Yeah. Awesome.
No, good on you.
All drawn
And-
by the kids.
Good work,
You
kid.
see, if I did a comic at school, I would get told off, and here they are doing them in class. And
Yeah.
it's not
You-
fair.
Mate, you lived in a different era.
Oh
Well,
yeah.
Yeah, in the Wild West, in
Right.
an old town.
Oh,
so.
Daly River.
Draw them in mud on the
D
road.
Daly.
Douglas
I was in the
Daly.
Daly River.
Douglas Daly.
Oh, Douglas Daly. All
Or
right.
Daly.
Yeah.
Daly. I don't know how to pronounce it. Sorry.
Douglas Valley, yeah. So
Daly.
they're
Daly.
just
That's how you say that. Daly.
Oh, okay.
Daly River. That's the Daly. But Daly. Yeah. Good
yeah,
on
went out to check my letterbox, but there was nothing. My copy must have got lost.
Yeah, you probably got lost, right, Fred?
Yeah.
Just ignore him, kids. That's just him trying to get a free comic.
Paul, your mum, if I didn't know better, sounds exactly like my mum. So like my mum was writing this same thing.
Your mum loves you too.
Our mums might have a secret family, and that's
Good on
All
you,
right.
Mrs. Mason.
All good
Glad
with
you're
that.
watching.
Yeah, Deborah, we look
thanks,
forward
Deborah.
to your comments on next week's show.
Yeah, you're gonna have to drag her in, back her up.
Good old mum. Mum's old stuff.
All right, let's talk a little something about ourselves, shall we?
This poor person is looking through the newspaper for info on what projects our artists have been working on. And this lost individual is using a map to find where she can follow our artists on social media and buy their books. How about we save them the trouble and just tell them? We call this next segment Shameless Self-Promotion.
And I'll start. I'll do my shameless plug of the ComX shop.
Shameless
ComX shop. Australian indie goodness with one flat postage rate, which is currently $9. Whether you buy one comic or 20 comics, $9 postage.
Right.
Since Alex is not here, I will do the please like the video and subscribe to the channel. And before the videos start, when you see the message that there's going to be one, remember to ring that bell.
Ding-a-ling-a-ling.
Push the bell button.
Over to you, Spedsy.
Yes, thank you. My comic books, such as The Devil's Toilet, Vamoose, Sluggish, and other various types of books, are available at psychojanitor.com for every second Tuesday. So this Tuesday coming on Webtoons is The Hero Complex, written by Tony Huddy and drawn by myself. Otherwise, head to reveriepublications.com.au to find some Torn, Rick McClune, and other goodness like that I have written. Until then, quick.
Just a quick one from me. DetectiveBudgie.com, where you go.
Nice.
Good things, get some stickers, get some books, have a good time. Nick May, talk.
Vamoose, get them while they're hot. I don't know what that is Rob's holding up, but it seems like he's cyberbullying me. The zombie basketballer from Silver Fox Comics will one day be a thing, and maybe one day, who knows, Roller Cup 2000. We will see what the future looks like in 1999 and 2000 as the Millennium Bug approaches. But until that time, Dushan.
Yeah, you can find my art on Facebook at Dushan, Art of Dushan Silva, and you can follow me on Instagram at Silva Dushan, and you can buy my comic Lisa Ray and comic sex shop.
Yep, very good.
Cool.
Nice.
Good
Highly
stuff,
recommend
mate.
it, Dave
Very
Dye.
nice. Can you bring that up for him, mate?
Yep.
And that's written by and drawn by you, right, Deshaun?
Yes.
Yep.
Very good work, mate.
Very nice.
Thanks.
Show that front cover again. That's the way.
Yeah.
Good stuff.
Very nice. Looks good.
And I'm working on issue 2 and 3 at the same
Ah,
time.
right.
Yeah.
Fantastic.
Excellent.
Thank you, Greg.
Mr. Lawson.
Oh, it dropped down to me. Yeah, I'm same as the last few weeks. We have currently issue 3 of Torn will be out reasonably soon. That's off getting the final touches done now. I'm currently working away on issues 4 and 5 simultaneously.
Oh,
which is good.
That's like James Cameron style with Avatar.
It kind of is, and going about as quickly as him too. 17 years between filming. But yeah, they're coming up well. They should. I'm hoping that they'll be like real showcases for the character and whatnot. I'm putting a lot of work into them. So
that's all.
in the meantime, I'm looking for other ways to monetize drawing, but we'll see how that goes. On Mr. Die.
Well, if you like, we could give you a cut of the money we make off this show.
Oh, that'd be great.
Yeah.
How else do I have?
Well, yeah, yeah. So I'll send you a check for $0.01 if you like. That's just a standard fee. Standard rate. A man who's received a great deal of those checks from this show is Dave Dyer. What you got, Dave?
I was just thinking a couple of weeks ago we had the Digiverse on. What was his first name?
Scott.
Steve?
Scott Wilson.
Scott Wilson. That's right. I had his last name Wilson. The Digiverse. I investigated what land I was living on. Aboriginal land.
Awesome.
It's the
Cool.
Ladji country.
Yeah.
And I was born in Wiradjuri country. So I'm quite proud of that.
Yeah.
And I'm on the Ladji country here in Mildura. Because I thought I'd like to say that. Also, my comics are available at the ComX shop. Also on Owner Indie, if you buy them online. I haven't progressed much from the work I was showing on the last show because I've been away, and it's Legacy Week this week, so I've been busy selling Legacy badges. So if you get the opportunity and you go past a table that is selling Legacy badges that
Good on you,
supports
Dave.
the widows and orphans of our veterans. So just please support that if you can. Soon I'm not going to plug what I'm working on at the moment. I thought I'd plug this one.
Yeah.
Anzac Legend.
Get up there.
Grateful.
My first foray into graphic storytelling.
Look at that. Holy moly.
Magnificent.
This is the story of the landing at Anzac. It's 200 and something pages long, and it covers the from the formation of the start of the war up until 8 days after the landing. Thanks, Pete.
Okay.
So yeah, that's available at Owner Indie. I haven't got it to you yet, have I, Sis? ComX shop?
No, not that one.
No, I've got the other one, the smaller one, the
Yeah.
Krithia, Battle of Krithia. So yeah, anyway, that's available, and I shall pass the baton over to Steve.
Oh, okay. The only comic I've sort of done was for Sizzle. I've been doing a lot of design work, so when that slows down, I'll be getting back into drawing, the one true love, which is comics. And it's always inspiring seeing you guys, and I'd love to get to a con and catch up with you one day.
Yeah, mate. It'd be great to catch up with you too.
Yeah.
Awesome. Where can we find you, Steve? Can people find your work? Can they like follow you on Instagram or something?
The Instagram, I'm too lazy. I like my Facebook thing, and that was the Stephen McLeod, I think, comic and illustrations.
Yeah.
Every now and then I update that, but when you're drawing for clients, you can't put your work up.
Yeah, I know. Yeah.
Which is, yeah. But I have got some other drawings that I've done, so I just need to throw that up there.
You're like, I swear I'm drawing and doing stuff, but I'm just not allowed to show anybody because they paid for it and they get to keep it.
Exactly. I'm really paranoid of someone, and people. This is the other thing on, because I throw a lot of stuff up, and a lot of the stuff gets used for colouring in, and they're like, oh, and they didn't tell me about it. They're like, oh, you know, but you can't deny kids. All the kids are colouring in your artwork, and you're like, oh yeah, Steve, we went to your site and downloaded all the artwork, and I'm like, okay. So yeah, so I don't want to put stuff that I do for other people up there, because if they, if the people, they might sort of like, why are you putting that stuff up there? But, I'm seeing all the boys up there with the Instagram and seeing fantastic art, and it's very inspiring. Yeah. So yeah, thanks for having me tonight. Yeah.
Pleasure. Don't be a stranger, Steve. We'd love to have you more, mate.
Nice to meet you. Look, I love watching the was it the Chinwags, Tuesday Chinwags?
Lee Chalker.
Yeah, as well as the Friday nights. Yeah.
I love your haircut, mate. You're going G.I. Jane, is it?
Well, funny if you mentioned that. I had this beard. I look like Sizzle with this great beard, and it belies my actual age, you know. So when I shaved, you're like, oh, you look much younger. I'm like, yes, yeah. So with the grey, but I don't mind the grey hair. Yeah, but it's hard to maintain. I admire anyone that can grow a beard and keep the beard. I just find it like it's just I'd rather just bald is easy to manage. So anyone who can rock a beard and keep it maintained, like I salute you guys.
Yeah, Nick May's only 22, but his beard betrays him. So.
You look distinguished with grey, mate. Remember that. The hand, yeah. Oh, it works.
Oh, look at that.
Oh man.
His pencil must need sharpening because nothing's coming out.
Family show, Rob.
No. I noticed when I brought out how funny I was finding all the talk about rings, it was never mentioned again.
Yeah.
You guys realised I was having fun and you put a stop to it. So no one's sending me comics. No one's talking about how good looking I am. What's going on?
Moving on, Paul Mason.
What's going on?
Paul, where can we find your books? Where can we find your art?
Well, this is out in newsagents at the moment, so you can get that at any newsagent. This is on Gestalt's website. Flock, it's just come out.
Flock.
Magazine size.
Yeah, I did it at like I was saying earlier, I love Tintin and stuff like that. So I just did it at a European size.
That's awesome.
Lovely.
But if you go to masoncomics.com.au or just Google Paul Mason Comics, you'll find it. It's got socials on there, and I have a newsletter you can sign up if you're really that interested. I don't spam anybody, so I only get one once every other month. And tell you what,
you used to do a podcast, Paul.
Yeah, my partner Amanda and I did one for a little while, but we soon realised that everyone's got one, and we were talking pop culture stuff, and we just realised that, I teach this stuff for uni, like in terms of storytelling and visual story and dissecting movies and stuff like that. Everyone loves something, so we didn't want to go in there and like shit on pop culture, and if we didn't really have an opinion, why sort of continue doing it? But we had a good time for a while there. We were, caught up with some friends and
awesome
spoke
time.
with like Nicola and Gary Challoner and all that sort of stuff. So we had fun with it for a little bit. Maybe we'll bring it back one day, but it was a bit of a workload, and I'm juggling 2 jobs as is, and it's hard to. I like to go outside once in a while. It's hard to sit down and work. You've got on one hand, I've got a script that's been open on my screen for a while that I've got to send to Glenn, and I've got 2 stories on the go that I'm inking, all that sort of shit behind me. So it was hard to maintain, but we had fun for a little while there. Yeah.
Paul,
but yeah.
Paul, you said earlier that you said earlier that you do all your work on the iPad now. Is that correct?
Yes. Yeah. So I don't know if you can see it too well on the screen. Let me grab. So this was here, I'll flip this around. I do my lettering in Photoshop. This is a cover for a story that I handed in recently. Don't know how well you can see that.
Nice. Yeah.
And then I do the
Vietnam story.
Look at that. This is
awesome.
Saigon.
So
68.
this is not out yet? Paul,
No, it's not out yet. No, not yet.
Jeez.
This is an exclusive.
Thank you.
Yeah, it's getting there. I won't spoil the rest of the story, but so I do my black and white stuff up there, and then I'll letter in like Illustrator or something like that, or or I'll do my color flats, and then I'll fix it up in Photoshop later. So that's a little bit of flock with a bit of a spoiler, I suppose.
Hey,
is that
look a bit like a budgie.
coloring?
Yes, yeah. So that's the fun part. Like with the Phantom story that's out at the moment, this is in color as well. So I got so I write, pencil, ink, and color, letter it, and then my partner Amanda is a great editor. She edits my work, and then we shoot it off to Glenn, and Glenn's the final editor. So he's but with Flock, Mandy, that was Mandy's job. Mandy was like a bit of a co-plotter there, but so it keeps me busy.
Yeah, good.
I figured very, very early on, like what I should say before you end your show is that there was never anything like this when I started doing Aussie comics, like people that were really supportive, or if they were just like a little clique and everyone else over that side of the fence they didn't want to deal with. So just listening to a couple of shows before I did this one, plus doing this tonight, I can't believe how positive you are, and like of everyone's work that you're doing and the work that's coming in. It's really, really nice to see, because that's, I got to say, like from being in Aussie comics in quite a while, that's a rarity, to be honest. I don't know where my point was from there, but just So I learned very early on with my work that if I wanted to generate more work, I needed to learn how to write, and I needed to learn how to letter and learn how to color. And it's a different brain that you got to sort of detach and plug something in. But just seeing what all you guys are doing and being all supportive and stuff, that's really cool. I really dig that, and I just want to make sure that you knew that I appreciated you having me on tonight, as well as what you were doing.
Well, thanks, Paul. We're happy to hear you. That's a bit of feedback that we don't normally get from people. We don't get a lot of feedback.
Awesome.
And so to have you come on and say that, it's fantastic.
Oh,
and
that's all right.
Very cool.
I think that's why a lot of us have got together, because we had a similar experience to you. I know personally myself, I've been looking for something like this since 2011 when I first started drawing comics.
Right, yes.
Find anything. Then ComX came up, and it's been the best thing ever. And I'd encourage anyone out there, get involved with ComX, because it's great. Get on the show, watch the show, and get to know everybody around, because we're all pretty good, reasonable people, Some.
I think part of it, you just all seem to be really nice people. Like when I was going through like when I first started getting into Aussie comics with a bunch of guys, and they wanted to do these big plans and stuff, and they were nice guys at the time, but they were going through their own sort of personal stuff, I could see, and they'd done the wrong thing by a couple of people that were working for them, and I chose to kind of step away as well. But they wanted to talk about and stuff rather than sit and do stuff. And you guys sitting here plugging your work shows that you're industrious and you're trying things and you're getting out there. And it's not unlike what the original creators of comics were doing, you know. Joe Simon, Jack Kirby were like, you know, and even like Siegel and Schuster, like they were 17-year-old kids that were just trying to earn a living, and they were creating the medium as they go. They didn't know what they were doing. They were just learning as they went. So I was the same. I didn't know what I was doing, and you learn as you go. I had the best, worst portfolio review by Howard Chaykin, and it was the best thing I ever got, because it was, you need that feedback. You need to try things and experiment. You know, what was the old saying? Get knocked down 7 times, stand up 8. So having a group or a collective with you know, that are supportive of each other, and there's doesn't seem to be any egos involved either. It's not a pissing contest. It's about support. I dig that. So
you've never met Spedsy before?
Yeah, I was about to say that.
Being very far.
I'm sure it's a playful pissing contest. I'm sure it's not serious. You know, sometimes it's hard to. What I see is it's the Wild West, and people are off in their little pockets doing their own things, and someone will come into town and say they're like the fastest drawer in the West, but really they're like just some cattle hustler back home. You know, it's small stakes, and people like that sense of power and a lack of you know, there's that insecurity factor. Sometimes people don't give compliments because deep in their mind they're like, oh, if I give him something, it's like, you know, I'm admitting that I'm lesser and all this sort of bullshit, you know. So
Jeez,
I just want to make
must
sure
have had some bad experiences.
Yeah.
Yeah, just unload, brother. Just unload. Yeah, you're comfortable around us. Just go for it.
No, I'm not calling anybody out or anything like that. And it's not,
not naming names, but yeah.
I'm not spilling tea. I'm just essentially saying that, you know, that I appreciate the positivity of what you guys are doing and the support, you know, and being positive about what you're doing. I've been to art schools where they'll chew you out if you make the wrong line. Like, I never finished a life drawing in class because I was afraid of making a mistake. And, you know, sometimes you can't work under that negative attention, you know. Bashing somebody in order to feel as though you're superior or that, then you know, if it's really in them, that they'll have the intuition to like rise up again and try something. It's like, well, no, criticism comes, you know, being genuine and trying to be supportive in that regard, and people are more receptive to that rather than, you know, throw your weight around or crush someone's dream, you know. Sometimes there's an element of perspective, but other times, you know, you're not going to look at a kid's work and go, no, you'll never make money in drawing or art, you know, like you don't want to do that sort of thing. So.
No, that's dead right.
Yeah, Paul,
Well,
look, ask a quick question.
Sorry, Steve, don't you?
Yeah, because I remember watching your seeing your early work and the influence of sort of the old school artists, and from what you've shown now, how far you've come. So your early influences, who were they, and your current style now? Are you influenced by anyone now? That because your artwork's just absolutely amazing. It's come heaps and leaps and bounds.
You talking to me, Stephen? You talking to Dave?
Yeah, your early influences when you first started. Yeah.
Oh, right. I like those early Spider-Man comics. I loved Mark Bagley, but I could never touch it. But I loved Eric Larson, you know, Todd McFarlane, that cartoonier aspect to things. When I first was researching and getting into comics, it was Jack Kirby was probably prime. But nowadays it's kind of there's a mixture of influences. Like, even as a kid, I loved John Romita Jr. That's consistent. I love storytelling. I couldn't give a fuck about detail. It's about how the story works, you know. Alex Toth in particular, is probably probably in recent years an artist that I love. Geordie Burnett that did you know, Torpedo, those European stuff.
Have you ever seen Francis Menopause?
Yes, yeah. I've met Francis. He's a nice fella.
He's just evolved, and it's just absolutely amazing with his washes.
Yes. Yeah. No, he's incredible. I've got a couple of his sketchbooks here somewhere. Yeah.
Right.
No, very cool. So, you know, just a kind of a mixture of things. I like Cubit.
Joe.
But yeah, you know, Ditto,
Joe Cubit.
yes. Yeah. Joe,
Joe, yeah.
definitely Joe. Goran Parlov in the last maybe half a decade. Goran Parlov is just amazing, like just deceptively simple. A little bit like Mignola. Like his work is storytelling wise is gorgeous and you know just seems effortless. You know, so yeah, those sorts of guys. Yeah.
Well, Paul, I just wanted to thank you for those kind words that you said. You know, there was no compliments on my looks from the Nick.
You're very handsome, Rob. Very handsome. Don't let anyone tell you otherwise.
When I said I was liking those ring jokes, everyone stopped doing them, and then that still didn't send me a comic. But you made it all worth it with those comments about the show. So yeah, well, thank you very much. So every Friday we do this show, and we hang around afterwards. It gets to just after 12, and there'll be a few of us talking about how we can grow the show and get more people on it. And the thing that we always come back to is that we just want to be a positive something in this world of negative. And so just the fact that you picked up on that vibe is something that I'm very proud of, and I share it with Alex, who's not with us at the moment, but Lauren, Angie Spice, all our regulars and semi-regulars and everyone. So yeah, thank you very much to everyone who's watching and has watch. Yeah,
Paul
Dave,
wants to say something.
Sorry, Paul, go.
Oh no! I was going to say, like, Mandy and I have been running a pop culture meetup group at the Brisbane Square Library for 9 years now, and that was our aim too. We started as a comic group with maybe 4 or 5 people. We grew it to like 20, 30 consistent, and you know, it was one of those things that we decided that not everybody likes everything that each other like. So just because you don't like something doesn't mean it's shit. So no need to bag on it. So we were always inclusive and positive in that regard. So I can recognize it when I see it elsewhere. So we might tongue-in-cheek laugh at stuff that's poorly done, but it's always in jest, you know, because we know someone's put hard effort into it. No one goes, I'm going to make this really shit thing. You know, everyone tries to do something within their budget and their means and their resources. So yeah, absolutely. Well done, gents and ladies and gents and everybody that you've mentioned. So very good.
Yeah. Wow.
If they ever revive, hey, it's Saturday. You've got that job that other guy used to do.
Yeah.
Well done, Nick.
Not Dickie Knee. We've got Nicky Knee. So he can be the drawing guy, or he can just be an annoying hat that comes up.
I reckon we can make Alex our Dickie Knee.
Yeah, there he is. Nice. You just found yourself a gig, Paul. We don't pay much, but you can be on the show every week as our Dickie Mason. All right. Well, that's our show for this week. We will be back next week. Sis, is next week Peter Lane and Skeletor, or am I talking out of turn?
It is.
It is.
Nice.
He of Sky's Cabin Library will be with us next week. We will be drawing a real pain in the ass Skeletor. I can't draw Ghost Rider. Why would he pick Skeletor? It's basically Ghost Rider who's been extinguished. I can't draw that either. All right. But until then, we will see you next week. Thanks so much, and we'll remember to eat your vitamins and say your prayers and all that stuff. Peace.
Thank
you, everyone.
Someone should call the police. The show has been murdered. But in 1 week we will rebuild it. Better, stronger, faster. In the meantime, head to ComX.shop and powder your chestnuts on a copy of Detective Budgie by Nick Cleary, Amazing Tales by Dave Dye, Vamoose by Nick May, Battle for Bustle by Lee Chalker, Radical by Ed Kearsley, Sluggish by Spedsy, Crimson and Rascal by Peter Wilson, ComX Presents featuring so many of the creators that have appeared on this show. And so much more. Alright sis, press the button. End the show. Don't make me butter your biscuit. Sizzle.